Welcome. We will be getting started in terms of the content in just a few moments. And as you may have just noticed, we are recording this event and the record button is on and going. I am Anne Massoni, and on behalf of the Society for Photographic Education, who is hosting this event, welcome. SPE is a member-based organization for those of you who are not familiar with us, and I'll be dropping our website in the chat window momentarily. A few protocol reminders. As an attendance taking mechanism, please do put your name and email address in the chat window, either to me, Anne Massoni, or to the Society for Photographic Education. That way we can share with you any updates directly in addition to social media posts that we'll be making. We've started you all out on mute so that the presenters can begin our meeting, and we'll open the meeting up to the larger audience once they've completed their presentation, so please stay in mute until then. Once we wrap up our presentation, stick around, we'll have an informal conversation, and we'll ask that you present your questions in the chat feature. And this week, we're trying different processes. So this week, we're having the chat window stay closed until that time. I'll let you know when the chat window does open back up so that you can ask your questions, pose your questions there. As I've said every week, we are establishing the way to move forward in this shifting time, and we can do that together. All right, John, over to you.
Here we go. Hey, my name's John Fryer. I'm an associate professor of cross-disciplinary media at Virginia Commonwealth University in Richmond, Virginia. I think my role is every time we start, I go to our website as if you can't go to your website, and I show you things that we've been working on. I want to give us a little bit of an update on, and give everybody an update on where we are with the 2020 All-Stars trading card project that we've been working on. We have topped, have we topped, Anne? Have we topped 200 students, or is it 199 because it's in a spreadsheet?
It's 199. Oh, no, we're at 201, so we're at 200. Yes! All right, that happened in the last 15 minutes.
So a lot of our students from around the country and around the world have been posting images. And as the person that maintains the Instagram, they're very excited about it, and I've learned how to do stories. I don't know if you've ever done stories in Instagram. I know I'm a teacher, I teach photography, and I should know that, but I don't really know stories that well. What I do with stories is I type the word awesome on top of whatever they posted, and they seem to like it. So if you haven't been awesomed yet, or your student hasn't been awesome yet, tell them to send it to our Instagram. So I'm gonna launch the screen just for a minute, and then I'm gonna introduce our guest here. So somewhere in here we go. And I'm assuming that people can see my screen. And this FotoFika, if you haven't been here before or you're new to it, is really just a few people thinking about the challenges that faced us when we initially had to go to online teaching. Is it 8 weeks ago? Are we in week 8, 9? So I think this is like is this the 8th FotoFika, Anne? Do you know? 8th or 9th? So we came together. Yeah, we came together to address some of the issues that were happening. And each week we've been trying to figure out what are our next steps forward, and we've been doing that through these workshops. We've been doing that through trying to populate a website we're trying to make it clean and trying to make it relevant. And in week 1 of FotoFika, this is what our website looked like, and it was built on the backbone of a previous website that we used for a class that I was teaching called Photography Was Magic, and we worked with Tom Woodward, who was one of our guests at one point, who helped us basically get things organized in such a way that it was useful to us and to you, and then over time has helped synthesize the site into something that's more user-friendly and more applicable to the things that we're doing. So I just wanted to acknowledge the work that's been done essentially for free behind the scenes in an effort to help support us as faculty, and that's been done by technical people that aren't me.
Can
Um,
I can I take on before you go? Say a few things. This is amazing, this site, and I really hope we hope people will use it. I'm thinking, and I'll talk more about this next week. A lot about practical, a lot of practical things going on right now. A lot of really practical questions, and we're addressing them here. But this is really a good resource for those of you who are trying to figure out how to deal with the fall. I guess I'm just repeating, but I think it's important. Like, I hope people keep coming back to it. John and I are adding to the blog. There are assignments, and we'll probably be announcing things like other workshops here. So just keep an eye on this site.
yeah, and we, our interest in working on this is only, uh, I'm only interested in working on it if it's relevant and it's helpful and useful to people, right? So that's the goal of what we're doing, and so I just wanted to say, go visit it and see if it's still useful to you. Let us know whether or not it's useful, and we'll keep doing
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And then I just wanted to forward to this is the All-Star. So if you haven't already seen it, we're soliciting student work, MFA, BFA, BA, AA. I mean, if you're graduating in 2020, you can apply, and people have been doing so. So upwards of 200 students have already applied, and it's really fascinating to see the diversity of work. And sometimes you think you're looking at you have no idea what you're looking at. Like, you have no idea if you're looking at an associate's degree work or a BFA work or an MFA work, and it's really fantastic. There's a kind of flattening that's going on and part of that is obviously the single image, but I encourage you to look through it and also encourage your students to do so. The other update is that we are now collecting our all-star reviewers. So we've started to list people that have been confirmed reviewers. Our goal is to get the original deck of Mandel cards was 134 players. So we're trying to get 134 reviewers, and they will each either pick or have assigned one of the students to review. So there'll be a 140 or 134 all-stars in the larger deck that we're trying to produce.
I
So
just want to say, if
yep.
any of you guys know any of these people who are in the original deck, who are still alive, if you can put us in touch with them, that would be great.
Yeah, that would be amazing. You can see at the bottom there, Melanie Walker, commented on something on Facebook and volunteered to do so and reached out to Alex Sweetman. So if there's anybody in the original that reach out to us and we'll try to include them. So I'm going to keep moving on because I don't want to take up all of our time with this. I have been having fun. If you just reload, it reloads in random. So you're constantly looking at brand new stuff, which is fun unless you're trying to do screen captures so that you can post them on the Instagram, and then you have no idea where you are, which is kind of where I spent my morning, is reloading and getting lost. So don't do that. Okay, so that brings us, unless there's anything else, Betsy, is there anything else that I should point out? Okay, so that brings us to, so last week, just before we were coming on to talk, I received a message from Stephanie DeMer, who's going to be our guest today, who responded specifically to a post that I had made about self-care that I talked briefly about at the end of our last session here. And we're as we get to the end of the semester, for those of us who are finishing up the semester, we've done a lot of work. We've been working like 10 times harder than we've ever, at least I feel that way, 10 times harder than we've ever worked before, because in addition to serving our students, we're working with our families. We're surviving a fucking pandemic, right? So with that, like, there's a lot going on, and what gets lost is our ability to you know, be present when it's necessary for our health and our wellness. And Stephanie is this year she is the inaugural Iowa IDEA fellow at University of Iowa, which is my alma mater. And that fellowship is a really fantastic thing that I don't know if I think I saw Rachel Cox in the line here who runs the photo program there. It's based on the model of the Iowa IDEA is the idea that our work and our physical artwork is the equivalent of the written word. So Eve Drulow was the first person to receive a master's degree in art specifically for the paintings that she produced. And that's where we come from, right? In terms of us as artists and as scholars and as researchers, it comes from our ability to point to our work and equate it with the written word. So it's really fantastic to have Stephanie here sitting in the position of this fellowship that is really about the physical and the value of art as practice. And she is also somebody who she's a 200-hour trained yoga instructor. So she's got a lot to offer us in thinking about both our practice as artists, but also our practice as humans. So without further ado, I would like to welcome Stephanie DeMer, who is a fantastic friend and colleague, and we're so lucky to have her.
Thanks so much, John. It's really incredible to be here with you all today. I'm really honored to be part of FotoFika today and try something maybe a little bit nice for us. So I am going to ask you to maybe participate in a little bit of seated movement. If I can share my screen, let's see if I actually can. Oh, I can. Oh my gosh. Great. Thank you for making that possible. So you can see here, actually, I will make it bigger. So behind me, whatever on Zoom is the Monterey Bay Aquarium jellyfish cam, which is a live feed of one of the jellyfish tanks at the aquarium. It actually runs live every day, 9 to 5. There's actually about 12 other kinds of jellyfish. I know nothing about jellyfish, but I think this is beautiful and amazing. I've actually used it at the beginning of my Zoom classes to kind of center my students and just let us have a different experience. So I'm gonna let the jellyfish cam run while I invite you to participate in what I'm gonna try to time as a literal 6 to 7 minute focusing, release, seated movement practice. So if you're just like, man, this is not my thing today, great, amazing. Maybe go grab some tea or a spritzer. I don't know, do what you gotta do, right? Some more sparkle water, from John, just reach over, however that works. But if you'd like to explore, yeah, thanks, Ann. If you'd like to explore this, I just thought that the best thing to give you all and to give myself is just 6 minutes of focusing on how you feel right now. I know I'm a newer educator, but I've taught yoga for a long time. I've been in and out of nonprofits in the arts. I've also been a caregiver for someone that's terminally ill. And so yoga and a movement or a seated practice is something I come back to allow me to do my research and do my art practice. So maybe you'll find this few minutes helpful. So as we begin, if you're going to begin with us or just enjoy the jellyfish cam, I invite you just to be present in your sitting. So maybe you need to adjust a little bit. Maybe you need to move your laptop off your lap. So just get a little bit comfortable. And when and if you're ready, I invite you to close your eyes. You can also just kind of close your eyes softly and look at the floor, or if there's a window nearby, or at the jellyfish. And just here in this moment, maybe uncross your legs if that feels comfortable, ground your feet, place your hands somewhere that feels comfortable. So mine are on my knees. And just wherever you are, just notice, what do you hear? How does the air feel? What else, what other sensations are you coming in contact with at this moment? And then maybe start noticing your breath. There's nothing really to do except realize that you're breathing, which is kind of nice, right? And then maybe as you inhale, maybe imagine that your breath can fill your whole body. And obviously that's not literal, but maybe that's energetic. So every time you inhale for the next few breaths, every part of you is filled, is getting full. And as you exhale, you're making more space. So maybe with this observation, you're breathing a little bit deeper or intentionally, and that's great. On your next inhale, as you fill up, maybe you notice there's a spot, and all we need is just one tiny part of us that maybe feels tense or tight or that needs a release. So mine is usually my jaw. I'm really good at tensing my jaw. So I'm just going to notice that point on an inhale. And on an exhale, I'm going to imagine that my exhale can take a little bit of that tension away, out of me, beyond me. So inhale, identify a spot that might feel like it needs some release, and exhale, send part of it away. We'll take one more inhale and exhale. And then when you're ready, open your eyes. And in the same spot we're in, and hopefully you can see me or you can just listen. We're going to do a few seated movement postures that maybe you can remember as we're unfortunately sitting probably more than we want to during the day. So the first thing I'm going to ask you is just to very gently and slowly lower your head, your chin towards your chest. So I'm doing this with my headphones on, so all this should be pretty like headphone friendly. So just lowering it, and your chin doesn't have to reach your chest. It can just kind of float there, but find a spot that feels comfortable and easy. And breathe into that spot. And then by placing your hands underneath your chin, using your hands, lift your head back to center. So don't use your neck muscles so much. And then release your hands. And then if you have an armrest or just a chair, you can take your arm and rest it outside of your armrest. So take your right arm on the outside of your right armrest or just beside your chair. And then slowly lower your left ear towards your left shoulder. So these can be really, really small, slow movements. They don't have to be anything big. Doing these sigh breaths and no one can hear you, so you can like sigh as crazy loud as you want. Sometimes in classes, people are like, ah, and you're like, whoa, but you know, no one can hear you except you just heard mine. So that's awkward. Okay, so you're relaxing your neck, great. And then take your left hand on the left side of your face and use your hand to push your head back to center. Yeah. And then rest your hands back on your thighs or in your lap. And taking your other hand, hopefully your left hand, placing it on the outside of your armrest, outside of your chair, and then lower your right ear towards your right shoulder. And of course I said towards, so it doesn't have to reach to. Just giving our neck a little bit of space, a little bit of movement. And then placing our right fingertips or hand on the right side of our face and lifting our head back to center, placing our hands back on our thighs. And then interlace your hands. So if you can see me in the thing, just interlace your hands and then press your palms towards the computer screen, extending your arms. So you might extend it a little bit or a lot. And then from here, begin to round your back. So you should still be able to do this in your chair. So you're rounding your back. And then if it feels good, start to lower your head in between your arms. Yeah. And keep stretching your palms away, separating your shoulder blades. And then release, coming back to center. And then the next thing we'll do is actually placing our left hand either on our armrest if you have one, or you can kind of tuck it underneath your leg or just hold on to the side of your chair. So left arm kind of secure, bringing your right hand up towards the ceiling, bicep towards your ear, your hand can be bent or your arm can be bent, whatever you got. And just barely crescenting or leaning over to the left here. And you can almost use your left hand to leverage you just a little bit. Maybe you can feel that. And you don't have to go very far today. But wherever you are, maybe bring your left shoulder a little bit forward. So you're sort of like on the same plane, your shoulders. Yeah, there you go. And you can look up kind of toward your arm, out at the screen, or down at the floor. So, you know, any range in this space is good. Remember to breathe and then back to center. And we'll do the other side. So securing your right arm on the armrest or chair or under your leg, lifting your left hand towards the ceiling and crescenting over or leaning over to the right. And just stretching with your fingers, using your right hand to almost help you bend over a little bit more, reaching over and out. And then finding a good place for your neck. So looking up, out, or down. And then back to center. And this one's a little bit funny and makes me feel good for a lot of reasons. It's like a seated eagle pose. If anyone's like done yoga, an eagle pose. So basically I'm just gonna give myself a hug. You can kind of see me. I'm holding my shoulders with both my hands. Doesn't really matter which arm is on top or bottom. So just find what feels good. You can also just hold your arms like this. You can bring your arms together like this. So, but the hug, you know, we deserve a hug. So giving yourself a hug and then lifting your right knee up a little bit and crossing your legs like you probably might have been sitting before this started. And then from here, squeeze your elbows together. So just squeeze them, squeeze your knees together, and then send your elbows a little bit forward, like you could type with your elbows on the computer, and then send them down towards your knees. So you might feel like you're in this like weird ball. You are. That's what's supposed to be happening. And then barely look down. So maybe your face can go like way into your arms and then you can't hear me, or you can just like keep looking forward. And then you want to stretch your shoulder blades apart. That's the intention of this, is stretching your shoulder blades apart, stretching your hip flexors. You might be feeling that, right? Breathing here. Breathing is great. You're going to have to do it. And then back to center. So release that, uncross your legs, and just sit here for a second. And then we'll do the other side. So we'll cross our arms, maybe the opposite way if you can remember what that is. It's usually the way that doesn't feel right. So give yourself an awkward hug. Cross your left knee, there you go, over your right. And here again, squeeze your elbows together, squeeze your knees together, send your elbows forward towards the computer screen and then down towards your knees. Yeah, there you go. So no one can see you, I promise. No one's looking, so except me. I'm kind of looking to make sure that no one's doing anything super crazy out there, but you guys look great, amazing. Yeah, stretch between your shoulders. So you can actually use your hands to kind of like press your shoulders away from each other and forward. And maybe that feels good. If it doesn't, stop it. Don't do it. Okay, back to center. And then our last seated movement before we close is taking our left hand behind us. So maybe if you're kind of in a chair, you can grab the back of your chair or kind of actually put your arm on the seat, the chair seat. So whatever kind of feels good. We're going to twist really gently over to the left. So taking our right hand to our armrest or the outside of our chair. And then we're just going to look sideways. So maybe you have a cool window. I don't. I'm in a basement. So there's just this weird door. I'm just looking over there. But you're just really gently twisting your torso, keeping your feet on the floor if they're there, your hips even. So maybe even feel if you need to situate yourself. And then our last breath here, very slowly, only turning our head or our face, look forward, real slow, like almost creepy slow, like we're in a horror movie or something. We're not in a horror movie, P.S. It's fine. Or are we? I don't know, Betsy seemed to be like, we're maybe in it. And then release back to center. Awesome. So other side, we'll take our right hand to the back of our chair or to our seat or side or just somewhere you can grip, twisting over to the right, placing our left hand on our armrest or the side of our chair or the right side of our thigh, and just looking over to the right. Remembering to breathe here. And in our last breath, we'll just very slowly turn our head forward. Yay, look at us. And then release. So, and to close, maybe you feel a little bit better. I'm going to do just a really quick, I'm going to try to do a minute. Practice I like to call tiny happies, which, you know, doesn't make any sense, but whatever, it's cool. So I'm going to invite you again, if you feel comfortable, to close your eyes and practice this tiny happies with me. So maybe we feel like our heart is a little bit beating a little bit faster. We feel like oxygen might be running through our body. We might just feel a little bit looser, which feels great. And maybe you don't feel any of that, and that is okay too. So just take note of where you are right now. And as John said, and as this group has been supportive of, this has been a really difficult semester in a lot of ways. It's also been a really amazing semester in some other ways. So right now, I invite you to think of one tiny thing that happened in your virtual classroom, in your virtual teaching space, that made you feel inspired or joyful or was funny, or just kind of turn the day around. And that can be the tiniest thing, a word a student said, a response, the way they turned in a project. It could be anything. And just look at that. Look at that experience and feel the tiny happiness or joy that you helped cultivate, that you provided space for. And maybe that experience feels like a color or a shape or a word or an action or a feeling. But however it's showing up to you right now, notice it and know that it's here for you and that it's part of you. And that the good thing that it feels like is for you. And then we'll inhale, exhale, and whenever you're ready, you'll open your eyes And know that you did maybe a little bit longer than 6 minutes of something good for yourself. And then that's it. I'll turn the jelly cam off if you want.
Wow. Hello. I don't know if I want to interrupt the calmness.
No.
I don't know if we've ever had such calmness
Right.
in a FotoFika before, or tears. Have we had any tears in FotoFika yet? Because I've had a few.
Hey, I do have a practical question about the jelly cam.
Mhm.
You just go to the Monterey Bay Aquarium and it's easy to find there?
Yeah, I can share the link. It's kind of hard to find on their first page. You have to scroll down a lot, but there's literally like there's an otter cam and 4 other jellyfish cam. There's also these daily meditations they do, which I just discovered. I'd been going just straight to the jellyfish cam, but the jellyfish cam is way cool. My students loved it. So
So you do this at the beginning of your classes? Have you always?
I don't do stretches, but we do watch the jellyfish cam. We've done it a few times. Yeah.
Have you thought about the stretches, or do you feel like that's just crossing your jobs too much or something?
Um, I don't know. Yeah, I haven't done the stretches. I mean, I integrated a lot of these sort of ideas into my weekly assignments once we moved online. So I actually assigned my students to take a nap and respond to that kind of right at the beginning of all this, which actually ended up being this really amazing document of how people are processing really quick change. And I don't know, it was just really kind of beautiful. It happened when I kind of at the beginning of all the pandemic here in America, I had to go to a dear friend's funeral unexpectedly. So it became out of necessity almost. Like I was like, I have to go. I don't know what to do. I want to take a nap. So I'm going to assign it to my students. So we've been incorporating a lot of like how art and care can kind of like cross, right, and be one and the same. So
That's great. I mean, that's such a great example of, using a difficult situation to create something, not trying to make the same thing happen that would have happened, and just, I mean, not so much going with the flow, but kind of. So
yeah, thank you.
yeah, that's exciting. That's great.
One